So it is 4:03, so we can go ahead and get started. Why don't we, Abby, you want to do a roll call first? Sure we have a quorum
Sure. Slavish,
here.
Fortney,
Here.
Bergenthal,
Here.
Adams,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Day,
Here.
and the other members of the committee are absent.
All right, so the purpose really of this meeting is to hold a public hearing on the city's application for $3 million in CDBG disaster relief assistance funding, hopefully to support the construction of at least 50 units of workforce housing in Middleton. So we do have 6 topics that I assume, Abby, you'll be presenting. Then following that, we'll open it up for any kind of public comment that if anybody's here that wants to comment on that. So with that,
I did put your February minutes on the agenda too, if you guys want to, if you feel comfortable approving those.
sure, we can handle that as well. You want to make a motion for approval on that?
This is Katie. I'll move approval.
Thanks, Katie. A second.
Aaron, I'll second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. So with that, we move on to the public hearing, Abby.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you all for making the time to do this. I know it is kind of cutting into the middle of the workday, and so I appreciate it. We have now compiled our full application for City of Middleton Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Assistance funding. And so this is one of the required components of that application to comply with the city's adopted citizen participation plan. We're required to hold a hearing on our application. And the first topic that we need to cover is identification of total potential funds. These CDBG DR funds were appropriated through the Supplemental Appropriations for Disaster Relief Act in 2018 for disaster relief related to flooding that occurred in August and September of 2018 in the state. These funds are being awarded to DEHCR by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. And the city received a notification of funding availability and guidance, both from Plan Commissioner Kurt Paulson and from Dane County, about this funding opportunity that provides $15,355,000 in Wisconsin CDBG DR funds available to eligible municipalities. 80% of those funds, or $12,284,000 of the funding, will be awarded to units of local government in the most impacted and distressed communities of Dane County and Vernon County. The remaining 20% of the funds will be available to units of local government in the remaining counties. At this time, I'm not aware of any other Dane County communities that are applying for the funding. I don't really know folks in Vernon County, so I have no reference point there for what sorts of applications they might see for Vernon County. The City of Middleton's application is for $3 million to support construction of at least 50 affordable housing units. And the city is going to require a minimum of $4.5 million in private investment to match the CDBG DR funds for a total project of a minimum of $7.5 million. There are 6 types of eligible CDBG activities. The one that we are applying for is construction of new housing units. There's a section in the application on presentation of identified community development needs. And this chart on this slide summarizes the damage that occurred in the 2018 floods, both in Dane County and in Middleton. And you can see in the row for residential damage, Dane County saw 1,544 units damaged and lost.
I think you need to share something else.
Sorry, can you?
We
can
only
you
see the agenda.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were seeing the slideshow. Okay, hold on a second. Sorry about that. Zoom problems. Let me see. Okay. So I was basically just, I read all of the text on the last slide, so I don't think we need to go over those again. So Dane County had 1,544 residences damaged and 5 units lost. Middleton had 134 residences damaged. We did not lose any housing units in the flood. So 8.7% of the residences damaged were in the city of Middleton and 0% of the units lost were in the city of Middleton. On the business column or row, Dane County saw over 37 million in business damage. Just over 33 million of that happened in the city of Middleton, and Middleton had almost 90% of the business damage. On the public side, there was just over 39 million in public property damage. Nearly 7 million of that was in Middleton, which is equivalent to 18.6% of the public property damage in our community. These estimates came from a combination of the Dane County Emergency Management formal estimate that was submitted to the Wisconsin Emergency Management Department, and also from the City of Middleton's Disaster Impact Statement form that was submitted to Dane County. Okay, next. Further on the topic of identified community development needs, Middleton has an identified housing gap. This comes out of the Dane County Housing Needs Assessment in 2019. And the gap is between 420 and 660 units in Middleton, depending on the method of calculation that you use. There are details about what this housing gap means within the application that we're going to be submitting to the Department of Administration. So using an average of the 2 calculation methods, you come up with a shortage or a gap of 540 units, which means that this funding could support construction of nearly 10% of the housing gap in our community and would really have a significant impact. On the topic of identification of other community development needs by the public, we will be holding a public hearing just here in a minute, and we will call for members of the public to identify any community development needs during the public hearing. And then under the topic of presentation of activities proposed for CDBG application, including potential residential displacement, the City of Middleton will undertake a competitive procurement process which meets the DOA's standards while providing the most benefit for the most low and moderate income individuals. That competitive procurement process, if we are fortunate to receive these funds, would be led by the Workforce Housing Committee. And we would accept applications from interested developers. We would require a project pro forma for review. The City of Middleton has a strong demand for additional affordable rental units, as evidenced by our low rental vacancy rate of 1.72%. And we know that a healthy vacancy rate according to HUD is about 5%. And we have a high demand for workforce housing due to the number of jobs in our community. And we have a jobs housing ratio of 2.011, which is one of the highest in Dane County. Currently, the city is in active discussions with at least 5 prospective developers of multifamily housing for active projects in Middleton. And every one of those projects has a demonstrated financial gap, according to the developers. The majority of those projects, if they proceed, are likely to develop as market rate housing, but the city has an adopted workforce housing strategy that includes goals to fill the housing gap and encourage workforce housing. The CDBG funds would enable 50 units of housing that could benefit low to moderate income households, and we do not anticipate any residential displacement would occur with any of the projects that might apply for this funding support. And that is all of the required items that need to be read. And I think you can go ahead, Chair Slavish, and open the public hearing.
Hey, Mike, you're muted.
Thanks for that. So if there are any members of the public that are on this call that would like to comment on or provide input on anything that Abby presented, we would ask that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. So with that, I guess we would open it up to any public comments from anyone. Any public comments? Okay, so not hearing any from the public, I guess we would close this public hearing. And I didn't know if there was any questions or any comments from the committee. It's not really the purpose of this meeting, as it is just a public hearing, but any questions for Abby on anything that was presented?
Can you just put up the first slide? Or maybe the first two.
Which one were you looking?
The ones before you shared.
Yeah, it was this slide. Information about the use of funding. Information about our application. The eligible CDBG activity we applying for. And then you saw.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions on the part of the committee?
Abby, I had a question. Looking at the table, it looks like most of the damage was businesses. And I'm sure a lot of that's insurable, maybe. Was there any request from any businesses to participate in this?
You mean to partake in the CDBG application?
Or is there any thought of awarding to any of these businesses that might have been damaged by this?
I don't think that it is an eligible use of this grant opportunity. My
So it's
understanding
purely for
is
housing?
this is just housing. Yep.
Okay.
This is Katie. I just want to comment and commend Abby for such a quick turnaround on this application. I know this was a push, so great job.
Here, here.
Yeah,
I agree. Thank you.
At least if we aren't provided an allocation of funding in the first round, it'll set us up for success if they have a second round. But I'm hopeful we'll get the award.
All right, any other questions anybody else has? So thanks too for the committee members for joining on this. Obviously, this is a time-sensitive discussion and application process. So to echo Katie, yeah, thanks Abby to you and staff for pulling this together so quickly. But if there aren't any other comments or questions, I guess I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks, everyone, and good luck, Abby and Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Abby.
you guys doing
Abby,
this.
get the
Thank you.
word.
Bye, everybody.
Good job.
All right, thanks, everyone.